Top 5 games of the college football season 2024, and go ahead and type in the comments and tell me why I'm wrong. Just go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with a video today doing the top 5 must-watch college football games, non-conference edition in 2024. And you could even do like this based on conference. You could do it based on in-state rivalries. You could rank rivalries. There's a lot we could do this off season. We still got a couple months until the college football season actually kicks off in August. But I wanted. Here's the thing, this was not an easy list to make. This is my opinion. This is a little bit of research done. I kind of found some lists and kind of took a little bit from that. And some of these games on this top 5 list, I wish had time for a top 10, but a lot of these games are obvious. I think the only thing that would trigger some people is not the games that I picked, but I think the order in which I put them might trigger some people. Just fair warning. I think we're gonna start at number 5, uh, and we'll work our way up to number 1. Now, here's what I'll say. This is my opinion, based on me, how I feel. If you don't like it, okay, that's fine. Tell me in the comment section. Tell me why the games that I mentioned are not top 5. Tell me why I have it ranked in the wrong order. Tell me, just save it for the comment section, honestly. But let's go ahead and get into this video. I'm going to start talking in this top 5. I'm going to start with Miami and Florida week 1. Now, I'm also going to mention that these games, each of these games are within the first 3 weeks of the season. And I think that's probably obvious, because what I wanted to do was I wanted to make this list based on, well, we don't see this game every single year. It's not going to come around that often. Uh, so I wanted to go, obviously, non-conference, but even with the rivalries, I kinda put the rivalries aside. I wanted to go through, like, the home and home, the neutral site type of stuff like that. Now, this first game, Miami and Florida, talking about the Hurricanes and the Gators, this is a rivalry, but they have not played each other since week 0 of 2019, when we celebrated 150 years of college football. And I guess it makes things interesting because Miami always seems to flop at times when it comes to, big games like this. But at the same time, Florida, once again with Billy Napier, is not expected to do too much this year. Maybe they have a little bit of improvement, and that's, if it happens, it happens. But I would not expect Florida to get past 6 wins. Maybe if they improve a little bit and they go bowling, that's great. I would not expect anything more than that. And to help their case, they have to get past Miami. Now, this is I don't know if it's a home and home, but this is being played in Gainesville, Florida. So this is at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Miami should be favored going into this matchup. When you look at what they have this upcoming season, and uh, they have quite a bit. Recruiting is great, but they have Mario Cristobal, and here's the thing about Miami is they hired Mario Cristobal a couple years ago, and it just has not lived up to expectation. The same about Billy Napier. I forget where was Billy Napier? Anyway, he had great success at At his previous school, this is some group of 5 somewhere before he got to Florida, but both of these coaches, what's interesting is they're not bad coaches, but it seems like they've inherited these big time programs that it seems like as if it's been too much of a job that they could handle. It just it seems that way. Now you look at Miami, they're gonna have Cam Ward at quarterback, and, they're gonna have some good defensive backs and wide receivers like Jacoby George, and, there's they're they're loaded with talent at Miami. They just have to put it on the field and work up a scheme and, get back to the fundamentals of what it takes to win big time football games, and that's why I think this game's so interesting is because Miami against the big time opponents in recent years has, uh, just fallen, and I do consider this a big time opponent because Florida all time is a really good program. You go back to the Spurrier days and Urban Meyer and everything like that, but you look at Florida today, I mean, they're no better than they were with Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen didn't wanna recruit, he leaves, Billy Napier comes in. It's not that he doesn't wanna recruit, he has recruited great, he just doesn't know what to do with the talent that he has, and I think and again, this is all opinionated, I'm not, like, trying to say that these are facts or anything like that, so if you disagree with anything I'm saying, again, just leave it in the comments for me, but I would say that this is a must-watch game just because it's a rivalry, it's in-state teams, you never sleep on a rivalry like this. But I wanna make it very clear that personally, I do not expect much from either one of these teams. We did a Miami preview a couple weeks ago, and I think I pegged them about 7-5, 8-4 at most. I don't expect either one of these teams to get 10 wins. It wouldn't surprise me if Florida misses a bowl game this year. If they make one, great. That wouldn't surprise me either. I think Florida's at that mark this upcoming season that they're either gonna make a bowl game or they're not gonna make a bowl game, and I think Miami gonna make a bowl game somewhere, but the question is how many wins do they want to get? And it's gonna be a tone setter for Florida if they can pull this win off. I know it's at home, I understand that, but it's one of those games that you wanna watch week 1 where, uh, you just you know what you're getting yourself into with this game because both of these teams, not that their expectations are like shoot for the stars above and beyond, but there's expectation for both of these teams to improve this year and get better. And you expect both teams to probably get at least a little bit better, I would hope. And they just going head to head, someone's got to win this game. If I had to pick right now, I would go Miami, but at the same time, Florida's in a position too where they could play upset here in week 1. So, that's the week 1 game at number 5 in my top 5 non-conference games in 2024. Go to week 3, talk about my Alabama Crimson Tide here. Playing Wisconsin in Madison. This is a home and home series. Kalen DeBoer's first year, first road test. I think they open with Western Kentucky. They play USF. Now they get into Power Five play. Wisconsin's still in the Big Ten. Luke Fickle's a heck of a head coach. Did pretty good last year. This upcoming season, he looks to find improvement. If Alabama does not have it figured out with Jalen Milroe and the offense, and I think the defense looked kind of suspect in the spring game. I'm just gonna be real. I wasn't too high on it. I know that they did what they could. I thought it looked iffy at times. I thought it looked kind of scary in terms of oh my gosh, what's happening? It didn't look like the defense that we were accustomed to seeing from Alabama. But it still looked good. They had some good players out there, Drake Kirkpatrick, Jalen Key. So, They have some guys on the back end that could help. Or Jalen Key actually got drafted. I'm thinking of somebody else. So I apologize for that. But Drake Kirkpatrick Jr., watch out for him this year. He's going to be really, really good on the back end for the secondary for Alabama. But their first test really comes in week 3 against the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, Alabama is with the new head coach. It's not Nick Saban. Nick Saban's in the background a little bit. They open with Western Kentucky. They play South Florida. We could probably toss those up as W's. The Wisconsin game, not to mention, you get a bye week after that, and then you got to play Georgia. I don't think they're going to overlook Wisconsin for Georgia. They're going to, if anything, they're overlooking them for a bye week, but I don't think that's going to happen either. If I had to pick who's going to win that game right now, I want to say Alabama, but let me say this. It would not surprise me if Wisconsin pulls off a road upset. I think Alabama would be favored. I think so, unless something happens within those first 2 games that you think, "Oh, Alabama, not that good." But I would think they're favored in that Wisconsin road matchup, but I would say it's like a 3-point spread. I think it'd be a really close game. Kinda like how it was with Texas a couple years ago. Now that was with Nick Saban. This is with Kalen DeBoer, right? This is with Kalen DeBoer, and we just gotta see what he does. He's offensive led. I thought his defense at Washington was pretty good, but it wasn't, like, the best, but it was still pretty good. So we just gotta see how he does defensively, and I think with Luke Fickell, being the head coach at Wisconsin and what he's done so far and how he's been able to put some guys in the NFL a little bit, especially with like Wisconsin's been known for like you remember running back Jonathan Taylor, but they've also been known for strong offensive linemen. Um, so yeah, yeah, I would put this in my top 5 just because we never see these teams really play. I mean, they played a few years back. I wanna say 10 years ago in a season opener. I thought they played in, like, 2014 or something, but, this is a different time. Alabama's got question marks, and they have to go on the road in the Big Ten, so I would put this game in my top 5. I put them at number 4. Alright, we're gonna kinda run through these. Now these next 3 games, I'm gonna go ahead and give them to you. I'm gonna go Texas at Michigan, UGA Clemson, and LSU and Southern Cal. Now, Tex Texas at Michigan, I put them at number 3. This is in Ann Arbor. This could have been our national title last year. You got Texas, who's in the SEC now. Michigan's still in the Big Ten. They're the defending champs. Can't take it away from them. You can make all the sign stealing jokes and Connor Stallion jokes that you want to about last year, but I would say that with a new head coach in Sharon Moore, who I think he's gonna do good, but you gotta replace a quarterback. You gotta replace Blake Corum, Roman Wilson. I mentioned the quarterback JJ McCarthy. You gotta replace all these guys. Texas has to replace nothing, but it's gonna be interesting to see if this game plays close, and I think it will. But if Michigan, I think Texas should go into this game favored. If Michigan wins this, not that it's gonna shock the entire world, but this would be a huge game for Michigan to win. This would be I mean, this is what's that word? Monumental? This is huge for their program. Now they're over the 1,000 win mark, winningest program all time, defending champs, whatever. That's great. But for Sharon Moore, come on. No one's picking him against Sarkisian and Quinn Ewers and Isaiah Bond, and no one's doing that. So if Michigan, if you go through with this and you pull off an upset, you better take it a long way this year in college football. Get back to the playoff, make the Big Ten title, which I am not picking you to do. I don't. I think a lot of more people are looking at Ohio State saying, "Okay, get back to it. Get back to winning the game." Get back to winning the Big Ten. Ohio State's out there. Penn State's out there. You got Southern Cal in the Big Ten now. But this non-conference game, these are two historic blue bloods, two top 5 winning programs, Heisman winners, championships. They go head to head. You kind of wish we had it for last year's national title game, and we almost did. But home and home, go to Ann Arbor if you're Texas. Take it to the bank that this is going to be on everybody's TV in week 2 of the college football season. Up next, game number 2 on the list. Again, we're going from 5 to 1. I'm going to go UGA Clemson. And this is huge because they have played over like 70 times. I think Georgia leads the series 43 to 18. Yeah, that sounds about right. Clemson, here's the thing. I think Georgia's going to win this game, and they might even win it big time. But Clemson, last year after Tyler from Spartanburg called in Dabo's show and got him riled up, Clemson won every other game that season. They did. Now, they struggled early on. They struggled. Their recruiting is still good. They got some good players. Dabo's still the head coach, and he's going to be the head coach until, like he said when he won one of his championships, he's like, until they put me out to pasture. Like, he's going to be the head coach. But I put this game on there knowing that Georgia is probably 9 times out of 10 going to win this football game. But it's 2 really good programs today going head to head. It's in Atlanta. It's the Chick-fil-A kickoff this time. It was in Charlotte back in 2021, and it sparked a title run for Kirby Smart to win the first championship for Georgia in 41 years. Now, they've won 2 since then. They've won 2021, 2022. If Clemson upsets, does this do anything more so for Clemson, or does it do anything for Georgia? I think it does nothing for Georgia other than it gives them their first loss of the season. They gotta play Alabama down the road, they gotta play Florida, they got they got their teams down the road. But if Clemson wins, it more so helps Clemson. It puts them back on the map. They're gonna be ranked in the top 25 and everything. It might be top 10 or 15. We don't know where they're gonna put Clemson. We know Georgia's gonna be, like, number 1 or number 2, right? Somewhere up there. If they're number 2, I don't know who you'd put at number 1 right now, to be honest, but Georgia's gonna be a top 5 team. Clemson's gonna be top 25, top 15, something in there. And I put this game on Spotlight because we had a pretty good game back in 2021, and these teams have met a lot in the past. They've met, like I said, Georgia's up 43 to 18 in the series. Wow. And I mean, Georgia owns Clemson. Georgia own, Georgia owns Clemson all time. But we've had some great games with these 2. And to see them on the schedule in Atlanta, if Clemson comes away with this one, that's gonna be big. That's going to be big. And I think it could happen. I'm not gonna bet on it, though. I'm not a betting man. But nothing would surprise me week 1 in college football, this year in 2024. It's chaos already with conference realignment, but you open the season with a game like this in Atlanta, whole world's gonna be watching. All of college football fans gonna be watching this one. So, we're looking forward to that. The the Gators. You dog fans are mad. The Dogs and the Tigers. Gators. Almost said Florida. Almost called Georgia. Ah, oh, that's good. Type in the comments. All right, number 1 game of 2024 in my book, and I say this because of the coaches. LSU and USC, who doesn't want to see a defensive coach go up against an offensive coach? You have Brian Kelly, who's good at defense, even though it's kind of weird, though. He had all this defense at Notre Dame, and he even did good at offense, too. But the past couple years for LSU, it's like he did a 180. It's like there's the offense. Where's the defense? Now, I don't know what to expect from them this year. They have to replace Heisman winner Jaden Daniels, but so does Lincoln Riley have to replace 2 years ago Heisman winner Caleb Williams. So it's interesting because you don't really have that go-to quarterback necessarily figured out for LSU in terms of, oh, this guy's talked about, he's hyped up or anything. I think, but you do have USC. Both of these teams are looking to get back to trying to win their conference, but USC's in the Big Ten now. Well, USC has a lot of great talent, especially on offense. They have, at least last time I checked, I don't think he's transferred. Malachi Nelson is um, like a 5-star quarterback recruit, and you know, USC has been known a school known for quarterbacks. So when you look at them, you have a true freshman in Malachi Nelson, or he was a true freshman last year. He sat out behind Caleb Williams. We know all that. So he's kind of this redshirt freshman guy. Behind him, you got like Miller Moss or whatever. Uh, you got so many different wide receivers out there. I think they still have Mario Williams. He actually is from my hometown down in Florida near the Tampa area. So pulling for guys like him, I these are two historically good programs that are going to go head to head week 1 on the football field. But you have two different types of head coaches. That's what makes this game interesting. And if we're in an offensive league, what the you know what we've seen in college football the past few years, if we're in an offensive era, USC should win this game, in my opinion. If we're in a defensive league and defense still wins championships, I'm betting on LSU. You never see these teams go head to head unless they make a bowl game against each other. And LSU and USC, I'm sure they've met before, but when's the last time you actually saw it? When's the last time you actually saw them like go head to head? LSU has a huge advantage over USC. And when you compare these two programs, they have not met since 1984, and LSU won. They're 1-1 against each other. They literally no ties in the series. They met back in 1979. USC won. They met, and it's funny because LSU won in Los Angeles, and uh, USC actually won in Baton Rouge in 1979. So LSU won in '84 in Los Angeles, and USC won in 1979 with uh with USC winning in Baton Rouge. So this will be a good game, good week 1 matchup, quarterback battles for both of these teams, trying to figure stuff out. But you know, it's going to be fun to watch. You don't want to miss it. So again, we run through these games: Miami, Florida at number 5, Alabama, Wisconsin at number 4, Texas, Michigan at number 3, UGA, Clemson at number 2, and again here at number 1, LSU, USC. That's going to do it for me. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Sorry this went over 20 minutes, but hey, you gotta get the content right. You gotta you gotta put it out there. You gotta explain yourself a little bit with these. So, again, this was top 5 non-conference games. If you'd like to see the top 5 conference games, let me know in the comments, but I'll only do it if you ask for it. So, anyway, that's gonna do it. Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, checking out. I love y'all. Peace.